All right, thank you guys. We have an incredible slate of college basketball action here today. So, welcome to our college basketball video here for Saturday, March 6th. And if you're new here, I just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my channel. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you end up liking what you see here today, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and join the Brock Page family. I'd love to have you. And like I said, guys, an awesome slate of college basketball action. It's a shame that I just had to pick 7 games here because we have a lot of great games here today. But let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with Oklahoma State taking on West Virginia, 2 p.m. Eastern start time in Morgantown. The West Virginia Mountaineers are minus 7.5, totals 148. And if you like the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, an upset on the road here, they're plus 270 on the money line. And despite a 2-3 day yesterday on my Patreon page, we still improved to 11-0 in our last 11 extra daily picks on that Patreon webpage. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We're also hitting at 70% in our last 10 Underdog tier package picks on that Patreon website as well. And if you want to join the 1,200 members who are currently signed up and active on that page, link for that site is in the description section below. Once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, the reason why this number is so high here is that Oklahoma State's top scorer, Cade Cunningham, has been listed as questionable. Meanwhile, Isaac Likekele's also been listed as questionable as well. He's their third leading scorer. So typically, if these guys are healthy, this would be an incredible spot catching 7.5 points. But with these guys banged up a little bit, really tough to lean toward the Cowboys here. They've also lost 6 out of their last 10 meetings with West Virginia. 72 points a game they're giving up when they travel. Now they're taking on a Mountaineer squad who's won 7 out of their last 9. And they average 78 points per contest. Miles McBride scoring over 15 points a game for West Virginia. 4 rebounds, 4 assists for the sophomore guard. McBride's also hitting 43% of his three-pointers, and he's recorded 43 total steals defensively. Meanwhile, Derek Culver's averaging nearly 15 a game himself, along with 10 rebounds. Now, the Mountaineers are currently 11 games above 500 for the season. And when it comes to the total in this one, 2 out of West Virginia's last 4 stayed under the line. Meanwhile, on the Oklahoma State side, I'm once again not so sure who's going to do the majority of the scoring here with a banged-up Cunningham and Likekele. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the West Virginia Mountaineers minus 7.5 and the under 148. All right, next matchup, Big East. I'm talking about Villanova versus Providence, 2:30 East. The Villanova Wildcats are minus 4.5 on the road, totals 140. And unfortunately for Nova fans, their leader and second leading scorer on the team, Colin Gillespie, is out for the season with a knee. Now that's 2 big-time program leaders who've gone down this year in Gillespie and Cosby Roundtree for the Wildcats. Now all 4 of Villanova's losses this season came away from home, and the Wildcats are also allowing their opponents to make over 40% of their field goals. Make over 40% of their three-pointers when they travel. Now they're taking on a Providence team who's very good on their home court, 700 win percentage at Alumni Hall, 60% against the number in those home contests. Now the Friars give up just 68 points per game as the official home team, and they're holding their opponents to just 29% shooting from downtown in that same category. David Duke scoring over 17 points a game for Providence, 6 rebounds, 4 assists for the 6'5 guard. Duke's also recorded 28 total steals and 7 blocks for the Friars. Meanwhile, 6'10 senior Nate Watson's also scoring over 16.5 points a night, along with 6 boards himself. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Providence's last 5 stayed under the number, 60% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, 3 out of Nova's last 4 stayed under the total themselves, 7-3 to the under in their last 10 meetings with Providence. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Providence Friars, plus 4.5, and the under 140. Next matchup, ACC action. I'm talking about Virginia versus Louisville, 4 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Virginia Cavaliers are -2 with the total at 122.5. And if you like the Cardinals of Louisville in a big upset at home here, they're +105 for some money line cash. Now the Cards have won 3 out of their last 4 ball games, 9-1 straight up at the KFC Yum Center this season. Louisville gives up just 62 points per contest as the official home team. They're also holding their opponents to just 38% shooting from the field. Carlik Jones is averaging over 17.5 points per contest, along with 5 rebounds and 4.5 assists. Now, the senior guard has also recorded 26 total steals defensively. Meanwhile, David Johnson scoring 12.5 points a game himself, 5 boards and 3 assists for the 6'5 guard as well. The Cards are holding their opponents to just 29% shooting from 3-land at home. Now, they're taking on just a Virginia Cavaliers squad who lost 3 out of their last 4 ball games, and they failed to cover the point spread in all 4 of those contests. As a matter of fact, the Cavaliers have successfully covered the number in just 2 out of their last 9, and they find themselves scoring just 63 points a game away from their home court. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, 3 out of Virginia's last 4 did get over the number, 6-4 to the over in their last 10 meetings with Louisville. Meanwhile, the Cardinals went 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Louisville Cardinals +2 and the over 122.5. Next contest, Pac-12 action. I'm talking about USC versus UCLA, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The USC Trojans are the 2-point favorite on the road here. Totals 135.5. Having said that, though, 4 out of the Trojans' 6 losses on the season did come away from home. USC also lost 3 out of their last 5 ball games, and they find themselves making just 31% of their three-pointers when they travel. Now, they're taking on a UCLA squad who's absolutely dominant on their home court, 11-0 straight up at the Pauley Pavilion, top 25 in the nation in defensive rebounding. Johnny Juzang is scoring over 14 points a game along with 4 rebounds. The 6'6 guard is also drilling over 93% of his free throws. Meanwhile, Chris Smith is averaging over a dozen a game himself, 6 rebounds and a couple assists for the 6'9 senior guard as well. A lot of big size here for UCLA in those guard positions. UCLA is allowing just 65 points per contest at home, and they're holding their opponents to just 29% shooting from 3-land there. Now, total-wise, 3 out of UCLA's last 4 got over the number, 14-10 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, USC went 4-3 to the over in their last 7 contests themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog UCLA Bruins +2 and the over 135.5. Next ball game, Big Ten action. I'm talking about Illinois versus Ohio State, 4 p.m. Eastern start time. Now, the Buckeyes are the 2-point favorite at home here. Totals 150. But as bad as the Buckeyes have been playing recently, I just can't see them faltering at home here to an Illinois squad missing their top scorer. The Buckeyes are 10-3 straight up at the Value City Arena, top 25 in the nation in free throw percentage. E.J. Liddell is scoring nearly 16 points a game along with 6 boards. Meanwhile, Dwayne Washington is scoring over 15 a night himself, 2 boards and 2 assists a game for the junior guard. Now, Washington's also drilling over 89% of his foul shots. Ohio State scores 78 points a game on their home court, and they hold their opponents to just 40% shooting from the field there. Now, they are taking on an Illinois squad who, once again, they're going to work here today without their leading scorer, Ayo Dosunmu, arguably the best player in Big Ten. It's either between him or Luka Garza. A lot of folks leaning toward Dosunmu, but unfortunately he's out right now, and he's responsible for 21 points a game. Now, Illinois saw 4 out of their 6 losses on the season come away from their home court, and they're also allowing over 72 points per contest when they travel. Now, total-wise, once again, Illinois is kind of giving up 21 points here with the absence of Dosunmu. They also saw contests with Michigan, Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Iowa stay under the line recently. Meanwhile, the Buckeyes on the other side of things, they saw their last 2 straight stay under the total themselves. 7-6 to the under at the Value City Arena. I'm going to lean toward the Ohio State Buckeyes -2 and the under 150. All right, next matchup here, ACC action. Talking about Duke versus UNC, 6 p.m. Eastern start time in Chapel Hill. Now, the North Carolina Tar Heels are minus 2.5 at home. Total's 149. North Carolina's won 9 of 10 at the Smith Center this season, 60% against the number in those contests. The Tar Heels are scoring nearly 79 points a game at home, and they're holding their opponents to just 68 points a night there as well. Armando Bacot's averaging nearly a dozen a game along with 7 rebounds. Meanwhile, 6'10 senior Garrison Brooks is also averaging double digits a game along with 7 boards as well. Now, UNC is taking on a Duke squad who just lost their last 2 straight. They're also just 3-5 straight up on the road this season. Duke's giving up over 72 points per contest, and they failed to cover the number in 5 out of their 8 road games. Now, total-wise, 4 out of Duke's last 8 games away from home did stay under the total. They're also 6-4 to the under in their last 10 with UNC. Meanwhile, the Tar Heels on the other side of things, they saw their last 2 straight stay under the total themselves, 5-4 to the under in their last 9. I'm going to lean toward the UNC Tar Heels minus 2.5 and the under 149. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It's going to be in the A10 tournament. I'm talking about Davidson versus VCU, 9 p.m. Eastern start time in Richmond. Now, VCU is minus 1.5 with the total at 133. And for those who don't know, this A10 tournament matchup here is being played on VCU's home court at the Siegel Center. Now, the VCU Rams are led by Nashawn Hyland, who's averaging over 19.5 points per contest, along with 4 rebounds and a couple assists. Now, the sophomore guard has also recorded 44 total steals defensively, and he nails over 86% of his foul shots. Meanwhile, teammate Vince Williams Jr. is averaging double digits a night himself, 5 rebounds and a couple assists for the 6'6 junior. I'm going to lean toward the VCU Rams minus 1.5 and the over 133. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our quick pick recap. Once again, powered to you by my Patreon website, where we are 11-0 in our last 11 extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon page. We're also hitting at 70% in our last 10 Underdog tier package picks on that Patreon site as well. I like West Virginia minus 7.5 under 148. Providence plus 4.5 under 140. Louisville plus 2 over 122.5. UCLA plus 2 over 135 and a hook. Ohio State minus 2 under 150. North Carolina minus 2.5 under 149. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the show here, one final reminder to please hit that subscribe button right now if you're new here and you really enjoyed today's video. I'm going to lean toward VCU minus 1.5 and the over 133. With that, guys, one final reminder that all the content on my YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes only. I don't make any guarantees of any kind. With that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some YouTube shout-outs. Shout out to Street Team, H. Sandu. Shout out to the CEO of Gambling. Shout out to Evan Poole, Cody the God, Drew G, Christopher Hebb, Official D. Capone, Soulja Man B, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my good friend, New York FCK. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.